true. So next up, we have a wonderful human who I am working with actually presently, who I was really excited about joining us to talk about a part of self-expression, a part of world changing, a part of business making that people don't often consider as a vehicle to grow your business. And I want you to consider this as a really, really interesting way to both do some self work and also do some business work at the same time. Next up on the stage is Donna Kozik, Donna Kozik. She is in USA Today and Wall Street Journal bestselling author with a passion for getting people published. She's the creator and leader of the original Write a Book in a Weekend virtual event, along with its sister program, Done for You Publishing. She has conducted more than 100 of her Write a Book in a Weekend virtual events, where she has shown thousands of participants how to get a short and powerful book done in a weekend. Her success has led her to being featured on the podcast Entrepreneurs on Fire with John Lee Dumas and on the stage with Secret Millionaire star James Malinchak. I want to welcome to the stage Donna Kozik. Hello, Donna.
Hello, thank you. This is fun.
Right? It's so enjoyable. I really love the art of bookmaking and the art of storytelling. And I know this is the passion that you have and what you do in writing books. But before we get going, Donna, I want you to share with the group as a businesswoman, as a business leader, and as someone who's probably you've probably edited more business books than most of us, any of us really. What is it? How is it that love plays into the business and the money-making game as a leader?
Mm. Yes, that's a great question. And the way I look at it as a business leader is showing that love towards your prospects and your clients, even when you don't feel like it. In fact, that's
That
usually
part.
the yeah, that's usually the best time to do it. So I'm a big follower of the law of attraction and Esther Hicks and Mary Mann Morrissey and Wayne Dyer and all those guys. And one a lesson I learned from all of them is that when you are feeling all tight and in here, the best thing to do is to show the love and to
Mm,
do something for someone else. And so for me, sometimes it's like, hey, I have an extra 90 minutes this afternoon. Who has a manuscript you want me to take a look at? Or who wants to bounce some book ideas off of me or something like that? And what I find is that it really kind of opens things up for the person in serving them and then also for myself.
gotcha. So you would say you practice sort of a game of when you have the extra time, find a way to love someone.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes it's about making the time to do that. I love to do events like this. I have a couple of free masterminds that I do. I give people writing time. And I really think that it's that connection and that togetherness. And that's another way to show the love and to have this sense of community, which I'm I emphasize in my business.
Yeah, I will say this as someone who's working with you is that you've certainly done that already with me, where you just sort of like, hey, just gonna pop in this little view of your book and give you some feedback and let you think about it. And I'm just like, wow, that was so loving, right? And wow, she gave me that next level of insight into what I'm doing. So and it wasn't necessarily something I asked for, and she did it anyway, which is just wonderful in a client relationship, right?
Yeah.
So let me ask you, why should every business owner, whether you're a corporate leader or whether you are a small business owner, why should we have a book?
Well, first of all, I started my whole my online business. It's called mybigbusinesscard.com. And the reason is that I think everyone should have a book. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. Because first of all, it establishes you as an authority. and author is at the root of that word. And there's a reason why, because we look up to people who can actually have the gumption and the wherewithal to get butt and chair and actually get a book done. And so it is that universal symbol of expertise and of credibility, which is something else that you want as a business owner. More so, though, I think it's really about self-discovery as well. It's an ability to take the time and put the energy forth to really discovering and exploring that big why that we talk about in business. It's like, why are you in business? Well, when you write, magic happens, and you can really put that down in words and make it real for yourself, and of course for your prospects and your clients as well. And then also, I think it is, I call writing magic, in that you can think of things you never thought before, like the Scarecrow says in The Wizard of Oz. And it really is incredible about what comes when you get some of those basics down, and then you let your brain, your mind, your heart go to see what else there is to discover about your message and what you want to share with the world.
It's interesting to me. I don't know. Different people have different, let's call it, worldviews, spiritual views. I always think like, you're speaking out a word, right, from your heart and your mind, and it has sort of power in the world when we speak it, right? And a book kind of like crystallizes it, right, into something that others can read and transfer. It's like it is the transcript, right, of what you're saying, but it's thoughtfully manicured and prepared to be consumed for the intended audience, right? So it's a very, very particular and unique creative endeavor.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it's progressed the world, hasn't it?
Oh, right. I mean, it used to be that only, academics or people with money and using vanity publishing could write and publish a book. And even when wrote my first book back in 2004, it was called 29 Days to a Smooth Move, a household moving manual. Even then, like, you had to print thousands of copies to make it even
Mm,
doable. We didn't have print on demand back then. You had to have a whole press run. But these days, with print on demand, and then it makes it easy just to print one book for like less than $5 and ship it out. And then secondly, Amazon wants to sell your book, which is just fabulous news for all of us authors. They don't care who you are. They're all there to help you publish and sell that book on Amazon. And then third, going back to what you were saying about this kind of like manicured message that you can put out. I really appreciate you saying that, because a lot of people who are looking to start a book get kind of scared, thinking that whatever they write in their first draft is going to be on Amazon tomorrow. And the fact is, you have a time to develop it and to kind of feel how it goes and to have those insights and things like that. And then you decide when it's going to be published.
awesome. For those who are here and listening, have you ever thought of writing your own book? Put in the chat yes if you have. Maybe you haven't done it. Maybe you haven't been willing to make that effort. But I'm just so curious to see if you've been like, yeah, or maybe you've have you written one? Let me know if you've written one. I
Congratulations, Melissa has. I have done it. She says, yay,
right? She's like, I'm in the zone. I got this. I got this.
yeah.
Um, I didn't realize, and I can testify for those of you who are thinking about it or have wanted to, um, because I'm in the midst of it, I can share that it is so much self-discovery that's wonderful, beautiful, beautiful. Just like podcasting was actually, in terms of with podcasting, you're like, "Oh, am I going to say this on air? Am I not? Oh, Ava's written one. Awesome. Um, you're asking yourself what you're going to share, but in a book you kind of feel like, what do I want to like kind of crystallize and share into the world? And it's a beautiful, beautiful process. um so what, like, if I'm doing this right, um what is maybe the faster or easier way to think about it, because it is this journey, right? How do I do it in a way that's
Mhm.
streamlined and efficient so I can still run my business, but then still something that I feel like is valuable?
Right. Right. Well, first of all, whatever approach you take is the right approach. All right. You cannot get this wrong because you want to do one that speaks to you. And I know that you're a writer. And so it comes, you enjoy it. Like you said, oh, it's like great self-discovery and things like that. Some people are like me. When I was in high school, I'm like, how short can I make this term paper? What do the margins have to be so I can write less and, still get the credit for it? And so again, it doesn't matter what approach you take. You just want to pick an approach and take it. And actually, if we have time, I have a few formulas for you for some short and powerful books. This is what I call a book that is modest in content, yet meaningful in message. All right, short and
Mhm.
powerful. Not the book, not the legacy book, but a book. So you get one done, and then you get to know the process and how it works, get it published, and then you can always write a longer one later or something like that. But you'll have that one out there working as a big business card for you. So that's ready to get a short and powerful book, one that's modest in content, yet meaningful in message. Writing a book, not the book, and then also going an inch wide, mile deep. I think this is where people get a loss, where they're like, oh, I'm going to cover this. I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about this. What I recommend is that you identify your magic and what you bring to the table in your business and focus on that, what I call your unique thumbprint. Talk about that, write about that. And then you can expand from there, but you do that inch wide, mile deep. It's going to serve a couple of areas. First of all, it's going to set you up as an expert because you are a published author. Second, it will make you different than other thought leaders in your field because you're sharing your own process. And third, it will attract the type of clients that you want to attract in your business because you're sharing what makes you unique. So, for instance, short and powerful books, writing short and powerful books is one of my unique processes in getting a book done fast. So, you want to focus on that. And by the way, don't hold back. Share your best stuff in your book. And don't hold back thinking, well, I'll share that in a coaching session or in a consultation or something like that. Share your best stuff because somebody will read it. They're like, wow, this is really good stuff. Where can I get more of this stuff? And they'll go to your website and seek you out. So those are some of the techniques I recommend to get a book done fast.
Awesome. Now, obviously, if it's like a business card, so to speak, and you're trying to get them to go to your website, how do you feel about the process of creating the book? Is there a particular way to approach that that's better for getting people to engage with you from a business perspective?
Mm. Well, I think, like, say, one of my formulas that I have is the what I call the strategy session book. So, if you meet with people to talk about your business and you're answering those questions, if you answer them in a book, then you have it all written out and you can use that as a prospecting tool. So, when you're thinking about writing your book, you're not thinking about writing like a Harlequin romance or something like that,
Right,
but
right.
something related to your audience, who you want to attract. But it's funny because a lot of people in marketing are all like, identify your target audience and niche markets and stuff like that. And I'm really not all about that. Instead, I want you to be answering questions that people are asking who are seeking out your services. And that just kind of causes you to be able to relax in the approach. So I think a good way to get started is by thinking about questions you get all the time about your business, questions that you get or questions that people should be asking about your business, and then start there with some really thorough answers.
Yeah. I was thinking if this is helpful for the audience, I was thinking about mission, right? Like if you think about what your mission is in your business, right? How you're going out there and helping the world. Your target audience is part of that, right? Right? Like if my mission is to go out and help gay executives, then that's the primary audience. And my mission is to help you in this book, right? And now I get excited about answering the questions and doing all the things to help you. And now it almost becomes an act of service. The book is an act of service for someone else. And that's kind of a way to also think about the love piece of this, right? Your business is already loving and serving your client. Your book, it needs to love and serve your client, right? The same way your business does. So they're really just parallels of one another, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know earlier we were talking about self-love, and I think that is important, along with, and sometimes this word gets a little bit overused, but authenticity. And
Mm,
really sharing what's real about you. I was around when Facebook was getting started, and I saw a lot of my friends and colleagues who were posting all this like about how much money they were making and how they can help other people make this money and stuff like that. And I'm like, I know you, and I know that's not what's going on. And I made myself a promise that I would only post or talk about what was real to me. And so I would be real so I didn't have to kind of keep different stories straight in my head and I could be authentic in what I was presenting. And that authenticity sometimes the story I spoke on stage when I was first starting my business, and I'm this was again like 15 years ago, and I had never
yeah.
spoken on stage before. And the host introduced me, this was in front of an audience of maybe 70 people, introduced me, and he said, he gave me a little hug before, walking off
Yeah.
stage. He said my heart was beating so fast, he thought I was going to pass out. So he kind
Oh,
of hung around a little bit just in case I did. And but then like so I was so nervous, and it really, like, in the first couple of minutes, man, I was just stuttering and I was a real mess. And then I kind of, found my way, and again just sharing what I knew. But he said later, Donna, there was something about it that was almost endearing, because you were your true self and let your nerves show and everything. And we all have them. So again, being your true self, and you can find your way, like we're saying, because the book, you get to write it and make it the way you want it before you publish it. So it can be your best self that you're putting forth.
it can. And I want I want you all to also consider again, I'm gonna go back to the sort of the self-work towards the self-love that comes in writing a book. And I'm telling you this as I'm learning it. So take it for what it's worth, right? So here's the thing. You don't want to really publish a book that's like, you might, right? But like sometimes when you realize I'm going to put that and internalize this sentiment, you're like, ooh, I don't like that about
Mm,
myself. I don't
mm,
like that I have such an angry position, right? Because suddenly when you put it on a stage, you realize, okay, well, people will look at it is, am I proud of that position? And some people are. People are very proud of their very angry position, right? But there's nothing like writing to sort of make you go inside yourself and say, hey, if I don't like that position, why? What is it, right? Again, it shows you something about yourself, right? That maybe you get to do some work on, or you get to reconsider, or you get to reposition. And then what you do is, I don't know, it's not fake, it's not inauthentic, right? You want to actually shift who you are and realize the lesson that you're seeing in your own writing, right? Which is really powerful way to sort of work through your own issues. And I had no clue, Donna. I had no clue that this was going to come up for me in writing.
yeah.
Do you get that sort of thing from others who do this process?
I do. And also in writing, sometimes I tell people to answer their own questions. So say you
Ah,
have a question for your reader, have you ever wondered about or thought about? And that, well, don't leave them hanging. Actually give them the answer so they don't have to think about it so hard. And you could present a couple of different scenarios. And the idea
mm,
is to get them nodding along and saying, oh, yes, that's the way I feel, or that's what I want for myself. And then, of course, that adds words to the page, and it just makes your book more complete.
yeah. So I guess I want to encourage you all to think about writing a book as a journey for yourself, which is just a beautiful part of kind of what we're talking about in terms of love, self-love, loving your business. Yes, but you're going to wind up discovering a lot of things. And one of the things we don't want to discover is the pitfalls. I don't want to find the pitfalls. I want Donna to discover the pitfalls. So Donna, tell me, what do I want to avoid if I'm going to consider doing a book? What are the things that I want to get out of?
Well, first of all, and it can move, but I encourage everyone to make a personal deadline for when
Mm.
you're going to get your manuscript done. Not necessarily published, but what you can control in getting a manuscript done. But don't tell anybody about what this deadline is, because it's too much pressure and it might move. But having it, you know how we all set goal lines and deadlines for ourselves. I think having that really does give this sense of like, okay, I'm going to get this done. All right. And along the same lines, don't even tell a lot of people or maybe anybody that you're writing a book. So studies have shown that when we tell our friends, hey, I'm writing a book, they're like, hey, that's great. You should write a book. And then we get some like good love feelings there. And we end up like, oh, I got satisfied with those love feelings. And so you don't actually go and write the book. So kind of keep it to yourself. It's a psychological technique there. And then also, Dr. Wayne Dyer said that, you know, when you're have a dream, it's like a small plant. I think he used a corn, you know, even kind of coming out of the ground. When it first comes out of the ground, you have to protect it. You have to protect it from the wind and fertilize it and make it, water it, make sure it's strong enough to withstand the elements. And it's the same with our book ideas. You want to develop them first so you can speak to them and almost like defend them in a way. Like, you know, it's not like we're doing dissertations or anything like that, but you want to have the confidence in the message that you're sharing. So doing that writing is really important, and having that personal deadline. Another thing is mistake people make is editing while they draft. I'm a big believer in Anne Lamont's mantra to write a shitty first draft. It's just like get it out, get it on the page or on the screen, and then go back and edit. There's really something to be said for being able then to mold the clay that you have created. And then finally, just kind of keeping to that inch wide, mile deep, and not adding this, adding that along the way, or I have another book idea that I can do. At the same time, I want you to honor the ideas that you have. So what I recommend is that you create what I call a power outline, just one sheet of paper that contains what this book will contain. When other ideas come or other book ideas come, saying that's a good idea, go put it in a parking lot document, and then go to your calendar and in 6 months say revisit other book idea or revisit parking lot. And I think that really satisfies the part of our brain. It's like, no, I want it now. Or it's like, you'll get it, but later. We're going to focus on this right now.
Beautiful. I have a question that I didn't prepare you for, so let's just see how this one goes. You know, there's so much love of the AI, Chat GPT, let's go, right? How would you recommend? Because the reality is if you're on this call, if you're watching this on the replay and you want to do a book, you absolutely can. And you can start on your manuscript right now, right? But a lot of people are like, oh, use AI and you'll have, you know, like, how do you balance using AI versus actually writing a book, let's call it the old school way?
Yeah, it's a really good question. A couple of ways that I do it. Sometimes, or I recommend doing it, using AI to create an outline. But don't just say, create an outline for a book about blah, blah, blah. Say, I want to write a book and I want to include these topics. So you do the footwork in the beginning of like what you want it to include. Then, so create an outline with these topics and
Mhm.
have it create the outline, okay, using only these topics. And then ask it, is there anything that's missing here?
Mhm.
And it might have like one or two ideas for you. And similar, another thing I do is I draft content. I make that fast draft of content. And then I'll take a couple paragraphs. I'm like, oh, I know this needs a little polish. I might like work on it. But it's like, oh, I'm not coming up with the right word, or this sentence is really awkward. I'll take that sentence and I'll say, you know, polish this sentence or something like that. Or using only the information here, like, you know, rewrite this paragraph or something like that. So it becomes more of a writing assistant, not a ghostwriter for you.
Gotcha. So someone to maybe like say this thing, but maybe with a little bit more passion, or polish this up using, what did you say? Using only what's
Only
here?
these words or only yes, only these words or only this thought. So I kind of direct it not to go out and get other stuff to put in there that's not me, but only using like these ideas or these words.
And
Mhm.
is these words literal? Like it literally only picks
It
those
you
words,
know, it
or
might like, of course, like, not literally, like, if it needs an
I don't
extra A
know.
or the, but the idea is it'll be recognizable,
Okay.
of the same content.
Of the same ilk that it's like
Mhm.
from Donna,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And not from some other source. Let's share a little bit about what you're going to give people here. For those who are listening here live, and for those that are catching this on a replay, what is your gift?
So I have a free book planner for you that you can I think they'll put the link in the chat, but it's freebookplanner.com, and I'll get you started in writing your book. And it also has some publishing information in it and some promotion information in it too.
Awesome. So it helps you. What does it do? You're going to go there and start working on your book, or?
It's a planner that you'll
Yeah.
download, and then, yeah, you can start like it'll start brainstorming title ideas, and it'll kind of walk you through the process.
Oh, nice. So it's like a guide.
Mhm,
That's perfect.
exactly.
Okay, so if you're a little curious and you want to get a little bit more than curious, then that seems like a really great way to start. Since we still have a little bit of time left, what I'm so curious about the publishing end, the back end, right?
Mhm.
What are some things to think about as we kind of consider that, whether we work with you or someone else, like what is something to know about publishing today?
Sure. So after your manuscript is done and polished, there's a number of ways that you can do this. But what you want to do is get a proofreader because we all forget those rules that they taught us in eighth grade English, and that I
Right?
can look through it. And also they'll spot the words that like this is my thing. Like I think the word is on the page, and then I didn't put it in, so I kind of skipped the word around. So they'll catch that, a fresh eye for it. Then you'll get it formatted for softcover and Kindle, and that's an interior format. There are different file types for that: PDF, EPUB for Kindle. You want a cover design for your book, and that is, of course, the you were talking about first impressions earlier. We like to say that no one judges a book by its cover, but in fact they do. So you want to have a polished looking cover. That's right. And then you just bring those files together and you go to kdp.amazon.com if you want to publish your book using their services and then get your book on Amazon. Again, that's kdp.amazon.com.
Awesome. Wow. Well, I really appreciate your joining us because I really feel like people don't often realize A, that a book can really grow your business, B, that a book can really grow you as the business leader. And it's really an opportunity to both kind of get your bang for your buck of both some self work and help and support and love other people. So,
Yeah. Can I give you real quick one of my favorite formulas for writing a book? Okay, as a big business card. So a lot of times in business, we have thoughts one time and then it's like next year it's like, oh, we're changing our business around. So this is an evergreen type book that you can write that can always serve as your big business card. I call it the Quote Book Plus. And on each page of the book, at the top, you put an inspirational quote, all right, at the top. And then you write a paragraph kind of riffing on that quote or what it means to you. And then at the bottom, you put an affirmation, an action step, or a blessing, something like that. You put together 100 of those. You got yourself a great little inspirational book that people will keep on their nightstand or on their desk to refer to. And it doesn't matter what you end up doing because the book reflects your love and your principles and your values and the ideas that you believe in. So it's called a Quote Book Plus, and it's my favorite type of formula for people who are looking to get started on a book or have one that'll work for them for years.
I love that. And then you're really just, it's almost like a spiritual book in that you're just encouraging the person's higher self without committing to one business.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah,
Right. Exactly. It's inspirational. And more than anything, people are looking to be inspired in this world.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Donna, for taking the time and for sharing your wisdom. I've really enjoyed our conversation.